It's time for a little Shayne Stanfield and sipping on scripture.
Yeah, ready
We're
for
going to tone it down. This almost sounds like more of a PBS kind of title. And now we go to sipping on scripture.
Yeah, I expect John
with
Denver to
Shayne
start singing here any
Stanfield.
moment.
Yeah.
now.
Good morning, Shayne. How are you this
Good morning, guys.
Happy Advent.
Thanks for having me, and yes, happy Advent as we close this chapter out this week. Today we're sipping on scripture and honor the Blessed Virgin Mary, since we enjoy not one but two significant Marian celebrations during the Advent season. The first is the Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception on December the 8th, and the second is the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe on December 12th. Just how full is full? The title of today's reflection is a question that often comes to my mind for anybody who reads the gospel that the Church selected for these two celebrations, and it is the same reading, by the way, and they are left wondering just what the angel Gabriel could have meant when he addressed the Blessed Virgin Mary, "Hail, full of grace." Of course, I'm referring to Luke's account of the Annunciation, which is found in the first chapter of his gospel, and to any of those individuals who are either not aware of the teachings of the Catholic Church or who oppose what they know of them. In case you are wondering, these teachings that I refer are those specifically regarding the Blessed Virgin Mary, and in particular, the Third Marian Dogma, which was infallibly defined by Pope Pius IX in 1854. So because of this, we as Catholics don't have to wonder just what the angel Gabriel could have meant when he addressed the Blessed Virgin Mary, "Hail, full of grace." The dogma of the Immaculate Conception of Mary essentially states that Mary was preserved free from original sin from the moment of her conception by a singular grace of God, in virtue of the merits of Jesus Christ. Mary was immaculate, or free from the stain of any sin, due to her sinless and most perfect human nature, which was nothing less than complete fullness, in the same image and likeness of God as was originally intended for all of humanity in Genesis. I should point out that this was not some new understanding that was proclaimed about Mary by the Pope so late in church history. Pope Pius IX simply affirmed what had been a widespread belief within the church that dated back to the 2nd century. And as if there was some doubt in the world about all of this, Mary herself affirmed what Pope Pius IX and the church proclaimed in 1854, and she did so just 4 years later to a poor, uneducated teenage girl at Lourdes, France. Bernadette Soubirous was her name, and on February 11, 1858, at the age of 14, she experienced the first of many Marian apparitions while searching for firewood at the grotto of Messabielle, located just outside of town, with her sister and a friend. Neither girl saw or heard anything of the apparition, but that didn't stop them from returning with Bernadette, along with an increasing number of other people that were curious to witness Bernadette's interactions during each of these encounters. Bernadette only knew the apparition as a lady dressed in white with a blue sash, who held a golden rosary, and on February 20th, that lady taught Bernadette a prayer and asked her to perform penance for the conversion of sinners. On the 23rd, the crowd had grown to about 150 people, when the lady revealed a secret to Bernadette, and on the 24th, the lady exhorted penance repeatedly, urging prayer to God for sinners and to kiss the ground as an act of penance. It was then on the 25th, with about 300 people present, that the lady then asked Bernadette to dig for a spring and to drink from it, and after some digging in the dirt, Bernadette found some muddy water which she consumed. That began a trickle of clean water from the underlying rock, which turned into a steady stream once stonemasons worked to open the fracture, and it was this flowing water that the people in attendance began to consume. About 800 people were reported on the 27th, about 1,000 people were reported on the 28th, and over 1,500 people were reported on March 1st, including the first known priest. It was after that event that miraculous healings from the water began to occur. Regardless of this, Bernadette suffered greatly, as she was increasingly criticized about her mental health and interrogated by authorities, mainly over skepticism about the apparitions and the healing properties of the spring. The grotto was even barricaded by the government in March due to this growing controversy, but Bernadette continued to visit the site secretly at night, and on March 25th, the lady finally identified herself as the Immaculate Conception. Church authorities then became even more suspicious of Bernadette, thinking that she had previously heard this phrase from perhaps a teacher or priest, but increased interrogations only supported the authenticity of this apparition. They determined that Bernadette was truly an uneducated girl that had never before heard the phrase Immaculate Conception. She had absolutely no understanding of its meaning, and perhaps more importantly, she had never previously associated or identified the lady in their apparitions as being the Blessed Virgin Mary. Bernadette consistently affirmed that the lady of the apparition herself had declared this to her, and she was quite steadfast in doing so even under pressure. The Church then formally approved the apparitions in 1860 after an ecclesial commission concluded its examination of all the evidence, which it officially found to validate the authenticity of the events. But it didn't stop there. The Lourdes Medical Bureau had officially investigated and maintained records on approximately 7,000 cases of unexplained healings attributed to the waters of that spring at Lourdes from 1858 to 2018. Around 70 of these had been officially declared miracles by the Church after extra rigorous examination was conducted according to the Lambertini criteria, which requires the cure to be instantaneous, complete, and permanent, that it involves severe or incurable disease, and only after all natural explanations are ruled out. It is worth noting that the actual total number of healings is estimated to be somewhere between 35,000 and 70,000, but because most people are not willing to subject themselves to the scrutiny of even basic investigation by this bureau. Whatever happened to Bernadette? She eventually entered a strict religious order and became a nun, who lived a rather short but humble and devout life until her death from declining health in 1879 at the age of 35. Her body was exhumed 39 years later, and it was miraculously found to be almost entirely incorrupt, which helped support her canonization as a saint in 1833. So for all those who are still left wondering what the angel Gabriel could have meant when he addressed the Blessed Virgin Mary, "Hail, full of grace," these are just a few facts about Lourdes that only the Catholic Church can explain. There's no need to wonder just how full of grace when it full when it comes to the grace that God bestowed upon Mary. Another one of her most fitting titles as Mother of God should also help say it all.
Wow. That's a great story. And to die so young at 35.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And truly, she wanted nothing of the fame, if you would say, that these apparitions brought to her. She really wanted to live a secluded life. But whenever she was asked, she always affirmed that this was in fact a true occurrence that took place. And I was kind of surprised, because I always thought that she knew that, and she was told that this was Mary, but she never identified her as married all the way up to this time that she proclaimed that she was identified as the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah, and if you've not seen the Song of Bernadette, strongly encourage you to do that. Available on YouTube TV. on YouTube, just on YouTube. Also on Prime. I'm sure there are other places to find it as well. I had the blessing of being in Lourdes, and I will tell you, nothing like that grotto any place in the world that I have ever been. So beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Shayne.
Thank you,
sir.
What
a wonderful way to continue our preparation for the Christmas season during this Advent.
That's right.
Absolutely.